Also wanted to ask you about, you were one of the guys, your name always seemed to come up on the recruiting shows. All these guys seem to mention your name when I'm talking to them. Obviously it's a lot of guys have a mark on getting these guys here, but when you actually get to see these guys out on the field now, when you start camp and you get to see all that hard work you did in the off season, how does it feel? I mean,
it's exciting. It's exciting. Anytime you recruit a guy, when they come into your program, I mean, you take pride in that kid, and you want that kid to do well. So anytime that kid comes in and he makes a play or does anything positive, it creates a positive feeling for you, without question.
I mean, do you feel a certain amount of pride when you kind of keep hearing your name come up and all these guys saying, "Oh, I love Coach Blasco's energy. I love the way he recruited me." Things like that.
I think the big thing is, we were obviously going heavy JC. There's 130 JCs in the country, and I had 80 of them. I was responsible for 80 of the 130. So, that was, I had to hold up my end of the bargain in terms of bringing guys to the table. And just as you stated earlier, I'll use Cassius Sanders for example. I recruited Cassius Sanders, but Coach Weiss and Coach Campo had just as much to do with him coming here that I did. So there's a lot of people involved. I was on so many guys because of the recruiting approach that we were taking, and I think that's why, you saw my name, with these guys. But the reality of the situation is, every one of our coaches had something to do with these guys coming on board.
A lot of the guys that you're expecting to step up in the tight end position there this year, like Trent and Jameis, they're guys that have been here for a while. But how much farther along are they right now than they were this time last year?
It's not even close. And the biggest thing is their knowledge of the offensive system. They've brushed up on their fundamentals and they've gotten better shaped, and the strength and conditioning program has kind of reshaped their body and transformed their body, but their knowledge of the offensive system has made them play more comfortable. And whenever you know what to do and you're comfortable in there, it allows you to play faster and it allows you to play at a higher level. And that's where both of those guys are right now. So we're very excited about both moving forward.
Coach Weiss has a track record of really bringing in and developing good top-tier NFL quality tight ends.
Right.
Is that more to do with the recruitment of these guys? Is there something that's being done on the practice field to kind of help nurture these guys along? Is it system? I mean, what is it? Are you seeing that now?
I would credit the offensive system because, there's so many teams out there running these spread offenses. They don't necessarily use an attached tight end. Most teams are detaching their tight ends, which is a little bit different philosophy than what's going on in the National Football League. In our system, we're obviously attaching them, we're detaching them, we're moving them around. Sometimes we have one on the field, sometimes we have two on the field, sometimes we have three on the field. So obviously his track record with the 3 or 4 guys that he had in Notre Dame, it's enticing to these recruits as we go through the process.
I wanted to ask you about Charles Brooks. He was a guy that came in, seemed like a lot of, I don't know if hype's the right word, but the ceiling seemed really high for a guy like that. But at this point, you just haven't seen him pop up, especially now, not really seeing him on the depth chart.
Well, I tell you what, he's had a very, very good training camp thus far. Very, very solid. One of the things that hurt Chuck was he came in as a 2 for 2. He didn't have a redshirt year, and he didn't get here until, I think the end of June last summer. So by the time he felt comfortable, it was, I don't want to say too late, but last season, with what we had from a depth standpoint, he really didn't play into the mix. Where this year, going through a whole offseason, going through a whole spring practice, going through a whole summer conditioning, he's come in, and just as I talked about Jameis and Trent, his knowledge of the offensive system is here compared to where it was last year. And once again, when you know what to do, you know where to line up, you know what your responsibilities are, it allows you to play faster. And he's made a lot of plays up to this point. We're very, very pleased with Chuck's effort up to this point in training camp.
About a week into camp, how's your energy level? Like, you're a guy that I keep hearing energy level's always high. Does that ever falter even a weekend?
It's got to be. It's got to be. It's.
All right, man. 1 week through, how you feeling today compared to where you were a week ago?
I feel a lot more confident about our offense, just for the simple fact that our run game has looked really good and our passing game has been way more efficient than it was in the past. And so, it's really exciting to see things come together, see O-linemen start to get some swag and confidence in what they're doing, and it's really coming together as a team.
How much do you work with those offensive linemen when you're in practice? I mean, you're right next to them, but I mean, are you separated from them when you're doing your own drills? I mean, how's that relationship?
Well,
working?
we do. We'll have like 3 or 4 individual periods, and so we might do 2 of them by ourselves, or just tight ends, and work on things that we're going to work with the O-line. And then we'll come together, and it's called mates period, and we just work with the O-line on our double team blocks and our position blocks and things like that, just to get a feel of being next to each other and what we're trying to do.
What about that? You mentioned the passing game. I mean, could you, when you were in practice last year, could you get a sense that this passing game may struggle a little bit on the field? And side of that, now when you're on the practice field, can you see a difference in the wide receivers from this year, from this time last year?
I won't say that. I mean, I thought we had good days in practice last year, and I would have been extremely shocked if you would have told us we wouldn't have a receiving touchdown last year. And so I don't want to say that it's just completely better in practice, because you still got to be in that game situation and make it happen. But there is definitely more of an efficient passing game that we have now, as far as the ball usually being on in a reasonable area to catch it, and guys are making plays for the quarterback sometimes. I mean, it's not always an easy ball, so you got to help them out a little bit.
What's your relationship or your chemistry, I guess you'd say, with Jake on the field, Jake Heaps?
I mean, we're really close just because, I mean, we both put in a lot of work together this summer, obviously, and I mean, last year I was a guy that when they threw me the ball, I usually caught it and made a play with it. And so, I mean, he was a guy that knew he would be making plays for us this year, and he seen me doing that last year. And so he kind of took me under his wing, and we just kind of went with it from there. And now that's like my best friend now. And so, I mean, we have a good understanding of what both of us are trying to do. And so, I mean, it's going to be really beneficial for the team.
And knowing the track record Coach Weiss has with tight ends, especially over there where he came from before, I mean, does that get you excited? Does that get you pumped to be a part of this system?
That gets me really excited. I mean, I remember when we didn't know who our coach was going to be, and we found out it was Coach Weiss. My fiance's dad actually looked up some stuff about him, and he was like, "Oh man, he loves throwing to the tight end." And so, I mean, we just all got excited for the opportunity that I'm going to get. And, I mean, just looking forward to going out there and making some plays for him.
Yeah, last year we talked about the wide receivers, but you're one of the leading wide receivers last year. I mean, do you expect to kind of build on that this year, or is that kind of where you hope to be? I mean,
oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I expect to make a lot of plays for us this year. I mean, don't matter what the down is, doesn't matter what the distance is, where we're at on the field. I mean, I always feel like I can get open and catch the ball. Now, I'm probably not going to be like Tony and get open, catch the ball, and take off from everybody, but I'll definitely get open, catch the ball, and do a little something with it.
Cool, man. 1 week in, you still having fun? I know
Yeah,
it's a grind.
it's fun. I mean, it's a grind. I mean, but it's very exciting when you see the offense making plays and the defense making plays, and we're just competing and going at it every day.
Who gives you the most trouble defensively?
I mean, it's definitely going to be, for me, it's going to be blocking. So I'd pick probably Ben Gutman, just for the simple fact that he's pretty good with his technique and his hands, and so it's hard to get your hands inside and things like that. But other than that, I mean, in the routes, I'll go against anybody one-on-one or in a coverage or zone or whatever, so that's not really hard to me. But blocking is definitely a stronger point to me. But, I mean, it's kind of easy when you got a big guy like Aslam next to you and y'all get to double team the guy in front of you and up to the linebacker. So, I mean, it's not always just me by myself.
All right, man. How you feeling this compared to this time last year, coming in wide-eyed, a lot of new stuff? How do you feel this year?
I feel a lot more comfortable this year, just with the playbook and everything. I feel like my mental mistakes have gone down, just running the plays and knowing where I'm supposed to be. So I feel like this year I can just go out and show my athletic ability and just be a running back and just play. So
it's your senior year. I mean, you came in here, didn't have a lot of time to waste. Came in and got your feet wet, and then this is it.
Exactly.
How's your approach different mentally?
Mentally, it's just I feel like you have to know that every day counts and take it one day at a time, one rep at a time, and try to do each rep and each drill to the best of your ability, because you know you're not going to get another chance. You're not going to get that day back before the season comes. So just my preparation and my whole mindset has been different this year, I believe. So.
You guys had a lot of backs sitting in the backfield last year, and then you added some more.
Right.
What are you thinking when you hear guys like Darian coming back and Colin being over there, and I guess they're moving Tony outside? But you know, what goes through your head when you hear that?
I mean, I'm excited because anybody that could help this team win, I'm definitely excited if they come in, and it's just going to add more depth to the backfield and more competition. So whenever you have a group at any position that is very skilled, you're going to have competition. That's always good for a program. So.
You know, I talked to Coach Mitchell about, you know, he said, you know, they talked to you about maybe red shirt, and you said, no, I don't want to. Can you talk a little bit about your decision to not?
Oh, yeah, that decision just had to do, this is my senior year. I want to come out here and compete. That's why I came to the school. I never came to the school expecting anything to be given to me. And that's just the type of guy I am. I want to go out there and compete. And all the running backs, man, we're like brothers. So I wanted to be out there this season with my guys. So that's kind of the thought process of went into that.
Is that a set decision? No way you're going to red shirt, or is you?
Oh yeah, I mean, as of right now, I'm not planning on redshirting. I mean, if the coaching staff decides to meet with it, it would be a group decision between me and the coaching staff. But as of right now, it's a no-go. So.
Do you think there's enough carries to go for you to at least get out there and show what you can do?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, Coach Weiss, he'll definitely find a way to get his best players the ball. So I'm not worried about that. All I'm worried about is doing my job. So.
Can you talk a little bit about this? A couple of those guys on the offensive line are returning, but overall, I mean, it's a completely revamped line. Can you talk a little bit about the differences between last year and this year, and kind of some of the strengths and some of the things that give and take, I guess?
Okay, yeah, definitely. I just feel like our O-line is really tough. They're a bunch of tough guys that are willing to get the job done, and they play hard. So they're definitely they're learning, but they're definitely they're tough guys. So.
Some bigger bodies up there. I mean, as a running back, how do you have to adjust to that bigger size?
Not really. You just see the hole, and you hit it. Excuse me. Sorry.
Cool, man. What about Jake? What's it like working with him now, and maybe some of the differences between him and Dane last year?
Jake's is definitely a natural-born leader. You can see that from the get-go, off-season workouts, holding people accountable, saying stuff to people even though they might not want to hear it. I mean, he's definitely not afraid to express his opinion if it's for the good of the team, and I feel like that's the type of leader we need in this program. So,
what's one thing you've been working on most? Like, first and foremost, you got into camp this year. Something I have to get better at this.
Right. One thing is just being patient and letting things develop, like holes open and stuff like that. Last year, I felt like I was just going a million miles an hour, and I like to play fast, but you also have to see things develop. So it's just slowing down a little bit and seeing holes open and trying to hit them full speed after they open. So
I know camp can be kind of a grind, but weekend, you still having fun?
Oh yeah. I love the grind. So yeah, I'm definitely having fun, and I'm definitely having fun with my guys being here, and I do it for my teammates, man. They really keep me going. So.
Anyway, this is a 1-11 team again?
Oh, no way. There's no way. And I definitely believe that in my heart. So, yeah, I'm definitely excited for the season.
Talk a little bit about your new role in this offense and how you're adjusting to it.
Well, it's going really well. I'm happy. Getting a lot more time than I have been. Tony's back up, and then also going to get some carries in the backfield behind James and Taylor and those guys. So it's going pretty well.
You know, when they came to you and asked you to kind of move to this position, what was the first thing that went through your head?
Well, they asked me. They said it wasn't just will you move to this? They said, would you be open to doing both? And they said, look at the depth chart, and you're probably going to be Tony's backup, and then you can still get some carries out of the backfield and stuff. And my initial reaction was, yeah, let's do it. It's more opportunity for me. Why wouldn't I want to do that? And then when we came out here and started doing it, things just started going better than I would have thought, and better than the coaches would have thought. It sounds like they were surprised with how well I've done so far.
So you feel pretty comfortable in this new role, and it's,
I'm getting more and more comfortable every day. At first, it was kind of unnatural, but I was still in a lot of open space, so I can make some plays. But now, the more and more I do it, I just get more adjusted to it.
assuming that from the traditional running back role, halfback role, you were 100% comfortable with it and what you were doing, what your role was. What would you say your comfort level, like percentage-wise, compared to where you were at before? As a halfback?
You mean as the F now?
Yeah.
Where's my comfort with the F at
Yeah.
the time? I'd say I started probably about 70, and now I'm 85.
So you
But
feel
I mean, we're only 5 days in, so that's a decent percent to gain. But I should be able to gain it pretty soon.
What are some of the differences in positions? Some of the things maybe you're asked to do that maybe you weren't doing before.
A big thing for me is just the angle on the blocks things like when we're running the ball away from me. Whereas normally I'm getting the ball, I'm getting the carry, and I don't have to think about anything and just think about how it needs to be blocked on the backside, or if we have like a swing route or something like that. That's tough for me to remember sometimes. And then also hot routes. Whereas I'm a running back, I got a protection, and now I'm in the slot, or I'm out wide, or just wherever I'm at, and then I have to think about, okay, who's got the hot if, whatever backer comes.
What are some of the things that are an advantage from at that position? I mean, some of the things you can do that come with your skill set.
Well, the advantage for me is that I'm bigger than most of the secondary players if I get back that far, and then I'm at least equal in size to the linebackers, so I have an advantage there, plus I'm faster than them. So, athletically, I have a big advantage there, and in comparison to the H,
Yes.
where you're out wider, you're kind of on the edge of the defense already, and there's just a lot more space over there without the linebackers and the linemen in the way.
How your hands? You had to work on your hands a little bit, or were you pretty comfortable with that?
I felt confident in my hands before, but I worked on it throughout the summer. I was on the jugs all the time and just trying to improve, so they're pretty good.
Hey man, senior season, last time you go into fall camp, can you talk a little, if you remember, first time coming into a fall camp, what was going through your head, how wide were your eyes compared to where you're at now?
Just coming from high school, adjusting to the college level was pretty different, because you were the guy in high school, and now you're competing and battling and trying to get to the top. It was a lot quicker and faster than what it was in high school, and it was hard to adjust to at first, but once I got adjusted to it, I handled it pretty well.
Well, now here you are again. You are the guy again. You're kind of the face of this offense again. And how's that different than you were at the top of the depth chart last year, but I don't think anybody knew what kind of production you were going to get and how good you were actually going to be. Now everybody knows. How's that change your approach?
I mean, it doesn't really change. I mean, I'm just come out week by week and just bring what I have to the table, to help us win as a team. It's a team effort. It's not just one individual. And I feel like the guys that we're going to put out there, no matter who it is, they're going to give it up their all, and they're going to do whatever they got to do to help us win.
This is a stacked backfield last year, and then they went out and brought in some more guys. What are you thinking when Darian came back?
Oh, it was good to have him back. I mean, he brings a lot to the table. He's a good running back. He has good vision and stuff like that. So he'll help us out a lot.
He was a guy that beat you out when he was here before. You guys talk back and forth about that a little bit now that you're sitting ahead of him now?
I mean, not really. We really don't bring it up. I mean, we just go out and just compete.
How are you guys different?
I mean, I can't really tell on that. I mean, we both kind of bring like the same stuff, as far as good vision and just being able to read your blocks, and make good cuts and stuff like that. So,
I mean, who's faster?
I don't know. We have to race and see on that. Yeah.
Or who's stronger?
I gotta go with me.
Yeah. All right. Can you talk a little bit about your offensive line? Some new faces, some old faces, but pretty much all shaken up. Can you talk a little bit? Is there any different approach with those different guys up front?
They're real physical up front. They're coming out every day, firing off the ball. And just the number one thing is just they're physical up front. They're not getting pushed back. They're being way more physical than what it was last year. So that's going to help us out a lot.
You hear a lot about their attitude up front. Do
Yeah.
you guys kind of feed off that in the backfield as well?
Yeah, we do. They bring the attitude to the game, you know, and when it's time to go, it's time to go, and that's what you like as a running back, you know, when your offensive line is just fired up and ready to go and open up some holes for you.
You have to kind of feel out offensive linemen to kind of you get a feeling of their little nuances and things. You kind of imagine where they're going to go, and you have that vision, I guess.
Yeah, I would say so. You know, it just takes practice, you know, just to get the feel of what the line is going to do and how they're going to do it and what scheme they have and just stuff like that.
What's it like working with Jake?
Oh, it's great. You know, Jake brings a lot to the table. You know, Jake is a good quarterback. You know, he does a lot of good things. He brings leadership and stuff like that. It's what you need as him being the quarterback of the team. So working with him is good.
Is he different than some of the other quarterbacks you've worked with in the past?
I would say, yeah, he is. Just as far as just what he brings, as far as like always keeping positive energy going and stuff like that. So that's a positive for us.
All right, man. I know some of the other guys are growing the beard. You got a little bit of beard, not too big yet, but you getting the high top back?
Just a baby one. I'm not gonna get it too high.
You're not gonna get it.
No.
I remember a couple years ago you had it up there, right?
Yeah, I think it touched the ceiling almost. Yeah.
Not getting that crazy though this year.
Not that crazy.